It's episode 5 of the Journal of a CNY Entrepreneur, and today is the owner of Gannon Pest Control, Jenn Savastino. Jenn is truly a bastion of Central New York, volunteering in so many organizations, giving back, whether it's with Syracuse Challenger Baseball, the American Heart Association, multiple women's clubs, all while running one of the busiest pest control companies in Central New York. Jenn is a true powerhouse, someone for all entrepreneurs, especially women, to look up to, and I'm truly glad to call her a friend. This was truly a great hour spent, and it felt like we could have went another 3 hours. This is one you won't want to miss. Here we go.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice.
Hi, Jenn. Appreciate you joining me for the show. Really excited to have you. Kind of just introduce yourself, what you do, the name of your business, and kind of what you guys do.
My name is Jenn Savastino. I am co-owner of Gannon Pest Control and the CEO, I guess, chief bottle washer, do it all. We are a commercial and residential pest control service that covers basically all of Central New York, Onondaga County, and all of the counties that touch it.
Gotcha. And it looks like you guys have been in business about 30 years. Have you been, in the executive chair for all 30 of those years?
Yes. My stepfather and I purchased the business in 1990. We were much smaller then. We were like $75,000 a year in sales and 1.5 techs. We ran it out of the back of my parents' house.
Gotcha.
And over the years, we've had, some growth. And
Sure.
now we have a larger facility here in Solvay. We have 5 office staff and right now 11 trucks on the road, and I'm hiring.
You're hiring. Okay. So anywhere from like 15 to 20 employees at a given time?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
We
What would you
are
say?
seasonal, so we fluctuate between
Sure.
spring. We
So
just started our busy season.
March to like October?
Yeah, usually we just started our exterior sprays actually Tuesday. So April till just about October, we're really busy. And then November to March, we slow down a little bit, but we still have, we've got 6 techs on the road, a commercial salesperson, and the office staff stays. We just reduce hours a bit in the winter, give everybody a little bit of a break.
Understood. And probably one of the biggest changes from 30 years ago to now is having a team so big. What would you say are the biggest challenges to having so many employees?
Definitely a larger team, but we have a great team. We have a lot of longevity on our team. So, and our field staff, we have people that have been with us. Like my brother is here. He's been with us for 20, 30 years, 25 years. Cousin, so our field staff has we have office staff that has been with us for almost 15 years.
Gotcha. Any advice you'd give from the years you've learned having a team, about being responsible for a team?
Be responsible for your team. Understand that their families and their ability to put food on the table and live comfortably is just as much your responsibility as it is to your own family. And if you live like that, if you run your business that way and your staff understands that, then they're going to have the loyalty piece that we have is second to none. I trust our team explicitly with anything here because they love our company just as much as we do as the owners.
Would you say they love you because you put so much into them and they can see how much you care about them and the business as well?
I do. We're a family here. We're a family business, and even those people that are not blood family, they're part of our family. And we all take care of each other. And so it's a wonderful feeling to be able to come to work every day and always have conversations with people instead of having to feel like you have to dictate things, or I don't rule over my team. It's a collaboration. I appreciate and respect all of the experience they have. So when we have to make changes, we do it as a team.
Gotcha. So growing up, were you always an entrepreneur type person, or would you say it's kind of something that just fell in your lap and you decided, let's go for it?
I think so. I think that ADHD can't settle on one thing. Personality is great for the entrepreneur, and we give. So yes. Did I think I'd be in pest control when I was getting my bachelor's and my master's in business? Not really. But I definitely never saw myself as someone who would sit at a desk and do the same thing every day. for the rest of their life. So I
And
like the multiple hats that I get to wear.
you went to Lemoyne, correct?
Yes, I do.
Do you think Lemoyne prepared you for being a business owner? Or
I think
college?
with
Pick on
college,
Lemoyne.
I don't think there's really any college program out there that can prepare you for being a business owner. A lot of it is fly by the seat of your pants. It's who you know, it's knowing where to find information. I think that college and Lemoyne in particular prepared me for those things, in knowing that there's always a resource available, and also knowing that I'm never going to know everything. So to be humble enough to always reach out to those resources and ask for help.
Got it. And I know being in the community is pretty important for you, and you are doing a lot of volunteer stuff. Could you kind of just talk about that and what you're involved in?
Absolutely. As a family business here in Central New York, we live here, we raise our families here. It's important to me that as we grow that our community grows too. So one of the things I'm involved with and I've been involved with for 19 years, is Syracuse Challenger Baseball. We're the largest special needs baseball league in the country. We went to the Little League World Series last year, which was amazing.
Awesome. In Williamsport?
In Williamsport, yes. We
Awesome.
played against a Pennsylvania team and I'm blanking on the name. It starts with an L. And in the Challenger exhibition, and we service children and adults anywhere from age 4 to 64. And my middle son is autistic, and he started playing when I was pregnant for my youngest, who's now 19. And it's just an amazing place. It gives our players, our special needs individuals, the ability to be a part of a team. And it gives our families the ability to be around families who get it. Being a special needs parent can be sometimes a dark and lonely place if you don't find a tribe. And that's true about anything in life, but particularly special needs parenting. And so you get to be around people who don't look at your kid weird if they're having a meltdown, or that if you're having a rough day because you're struggling with service providers or whatever, there's a lot of resources there. There's parents of older or younger kids that can be like, hey, I went through that. This is what we did. So for the players and the families, it's just an outstanding place to land. So we play every Tuesday and Thursday. We start June 4th this year. We play at Carrier Park and in Mattydale, the Malden Fields. I'm also involved, aside from Challenger Baseball, I'm the vice president of the board for the Friends of DeWitt Parks and Recs. Our main mission right now is raising money to build Carrier Park out to its fullest potential. We have 2 fields and a playground and basketball courts, courtesy of the Bayheim Foundation, out there now. We will eventually have, and we're breaking ground this spring, a large super turf field, which could be lacrosse, soccer, or 6 little league fields. And then we're also putting another turf baseball field in. It's about a $20 million project that we've been working on for over 10 years.
So it sounds like your two worlds are colliding a little bit.
Well, and I got involved in it because of Challenger Baseball, because it is also the home of Challenger Baseball. Our kids have been the driving force behind Carrier Park. It's going to be the first fully inclusive athletic facility in the country, where dugouts, bathrooms, base paths, everything, whether you're able-bodied or you're on crutches or a wheelchairs will be able to play. We also have beeper balls out there for our visually impaired players. So it really is they do go hand in hand, and that Challenger Baseball, it was the driving force behind building this park. The town at Carrier donated this land to the town of DeWitt, with the only caveat that it had to be done something for health and wellness for children. They couldn't build another town hall on it or something.
Right.
And Ed Mekalenko, the DeWitt town supervisor, and our executive director, Dom Cambereri, are good friends. So they had a discussion and got together, and we had this dream. And the dream is slowly but surely coming to fruition.
That's exactly why I wanted to start this podcast. Stories like that, I never would have known that, and I feel like I'm probably not the only one. But as far as, if someone wanted to join, if they had a special needs child, how would they join Challenger Baseball, and what's the cost associated?
There is no cost. As a board, we fundraise all year long to ensure that play is free for all players. Every player gets a a jersey, a hat. We provide all equipment. Some players prefer to bring their own, but we have it on at all the fields. And at the end of the season, we do a banquet where they get a trophy. And again, no cost to the players or their families. If you want to join, we are taking signups now. You can baseball.com, and there's links there for whether you want to join as a junior. Juniors are age 4 to about 13, 14. Adults are 15 to 80. We have no age limit on that. And we also have a senior division, which is individuals who play more typical baseball.
Understood.
Those are our special needs individuals that are more aware, that can like dodge a line drive and really want to play more. They have outs and things like that. Our traditional challenger baseball does not. Everybody bats, everybody plays the field. It's just a fun time for our kids.
Awesome. I know a couple people who have kids that play in the Challenger Baseball League, and they don't have enough good things to say about it. And exactly what you said, having other people there that know what you're going through and can relate to you. Nobody's looking funny at you. You know how people are, unfortunately, but just having people that you can relate to, it's like a breath of fresh air for them.
Absolutely. And very often with our special needs individuals, we take them places because we want to take them out and do anything any other kid does. But a lot of times we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. We're trying to make them smaller, like quiet or whatever, just to fit in. Mm-hmm. And when they come to Challenger Baseball, they don't have to. They can be themselves.
Yep.
If your kid doesn't want to play baseball that day and they want to lay in the backfield and pick some grass, have at it. They're having fun.
In the league.
Absolutely. I tell everybody that if you're having a bad day or you're just looking for something really awesome to watch on a Tuesday or Thursday between June and the end of July, come watch a Challenger Baseball game, because you're watching these players put so much effort into so much that we take for granted every day, that you can't help but leave with a smile on your face.
And the facility is beautiful already. So the $20 million project is going to, like you said, it's got to be probably the nicest one in the country, right here in Central New York, Syracuse.
Right. So. And it's also what I like about the project as well, is being a special needs parent. I'm not blind to the fact that many people who aren't in that world see facilities or things for individuals with disabilities as like, oh, just another tax bill or something. It's going to cost them something. But this facility is built exactly the opposite, in that it's a tournament level baseball facility, and the location being right off 481, right off Thruway, all of that is perfect, that we can actually generate income. Salt City Sports runs the fields, and they run tournaments all year. And right now they're doing pretty well with just 2 fields. When we're fully built out, they can run larger tournaments, and there's a ton of money in that travel ball world. They built a similar facility. Cortland built a similar facility outside of something like, the last I read was like $16 million just into the community, in hotels and restaurants and things like that, for people coming in to play baseball at these fields. So Carrier Park is not just, in my world, it's enough for it to be this amazing place for our special needs individuals to play. But for our community, it's something that will drive our economy and pay for itself while giving this much needed service to our special needs individuals.
Awesome. For you personally, it sounds like you kind of have your plate full. So how do you balance it all? Any routines, practices, anything like that you've put into place? For myself, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it's not on my phone calendar, it doesn't exist. So do you have anything like that for yourself where, okay, I need somewhere to look to make sure I'm in balance here?
I have 2, actually. My phone calendar is the one that I utilize, especially when I'm making appointments on the fly, because, a lot of times I'm not necessarily sitting at my desk all the time. I'm out doing, so everything goes into my phone calendar, but I'm still a paper planner person. I have a paper planner that has all of my notes from the day, who I spoke to, things get moved forward. Each week has pages for notes for what needs to be done. It's kind of like a project planner, date book, all in one. Note taker. I'm addicted to this Laurel Denise version right now because it's got all of that in one. I can see my whole month in one view. I can see my week, and then I can see my notes pages, all in one spread. If I don't write it down, good chance I'm going to forget it.
Yep. Yep.
I try to be really good about it, but same thing with the calendar. If you don't when we spoke about doing this, I immediately wrote it in my calendar. So when I got to this week and I questioned her, like, I need that calendar invite because it's not in my calendar. I don't get a calendar invite. I get, again, good chance I might forget or I'm
Same.
going to get sidetracked.
Same.
I do a lot during the day, every day. I'm also involved with Hope for Heather, the ovarian cancer awareness group. They're a wonderful education awareness for ovarian cancer science, things like that, the #1 silent killer of women. But I try to do as much as I can. It's hard to say no because there's so much to do in this world. We have, um, it's just, there's so much good that can be done that my thing is I don't really pay attention to what's going on in Washington a lot. I don't do a lot of that. I just focus on
Help
trying to
local.
make my corner of the world as best that I can.
Where do you think that from? Have you always been that way, or do you kind of feel, life has turned out really good for you and you feel like you need to give back? Where does that kind of come from?
I think life has turned out really well for me. So it's important I was raised by a single mom who was a waitress. We were fortunate that I'm very blessed that she met my stepfather when I was a teenager, who's a wonderful man. And the two of them built an amazing family for myself and my stepbrother and stepsister. Um, but when I was young, I watched my mom work really hard to pay the bills, to, just to put food on our table. And I work hard, but at a different level. It's not waitressing. It's not waitressing 10 hours a day.
Yep.
I'm brain tired at the end of the day. She was physically tired. So it's just, I'm grateful for where I've landed in life. I know that I'm grateful for the people I have in my life. I have an amazing tribe of friends and family that are always there. And if I can make a few people feel as good as the people in my life make me feel, then it's a good thing.
I relate to that a lot. I had a single mom growing up as well, and times were definitely hard. And watching her work so hard, she did the best she could. I didn't necessarily go without more times than not.
Oh no, I didn't. I never really understood we were poor, but until I got older,
Right.
because I had everything I needed, but
Yeah.
it was a struggle for her.
When I got older and I look back, I was like, oh man, I didn't even know it then, but we were definitely poor. But
Right.
if nothing else, I think it gave me really good perspective on just life in general. I had to grow up really fast, and a lot of things that bother people don't really bother me. Like a bad day at work, it's just kind of like, been through worse. Is it the big deal? No.
Right.
So like when things happen in life, it just gives me perspective that it can be a whole hell of a lot worse, and I appreciate where I'm at now.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been through, I lost my mom about 2 years, just over 2 years ago, and I've been through some darkness. And I think that as I've come out the other side of that, it's pushed me more to be that more positive, focused on the positive change I can make, the positive vibe I can spread. I also teach yoga a couple days a week because I love yoga, and it helped me find that space. It was that place, like my yoga mat became that place that I could kind of drown out the rest of the world and focus on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it took a lot to get to here where I am today. And I'm grateful for the people that stuck by me during that time and my team here that when things weren't the greatest after we lost my mom, that kept things going. Made sure that the day-to-day was handled and all of that. So
it's really important to have people like that. I always say you don't really know people until shit hits the fan and what they're really about. Because it's easy to be a good person when things are going well, but I want to know who you are when things suck, And it sounds like a great team around you and your relationships are built in adversity, and I'm sure you all come out much stronger and much tighter because of it.
And like I said, when we lost my mom, it wasn't just hard on me. Obviously it was devastating to me, but she worked here for 20 years. She was like the anchor and the customer service here. And everybody loved her because she was that mom who took everybody in.
She was everybody's mom. Yeah.
She was everybody's mom. Everybody loved her. And so when we lost her, it was difficult for our whole staff. And on one hand, that might have been more helpful for me because I think they realized if they were hurting so much, how much I was, and my stepfather and my brother and sister. But it was a rough time. And again, I told them a gazillion times how grateful I am that they held it together for me.
Knowing you're not going through things alone definitely makes it less impossible. I don't want to
It
say
does.
that kind of makes light of the situation, but a little less impossible.
Agreed.
So again, your plate is full. Do you have any other hobbies in your free time that isn't saving the world?
Yoga. Yoga's all mine. I love to teach yoga because I like to share it because it has helped me so much. I like to travel. I was in Costa Rica last week on a yoga retreat, but you could do as much yoga or as little yoga as you want. I learned to surf. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
My
I've always
kids,
learned how to surf, but sharks freak me out.
you know what? I did it. If you're ever in Costa Rica, the instructors were great. We were only in water that was like waist high. It wasn't scary at all. And I actually stood up, which I was pretty proud of myself for. My kids are really important to me. I have three boys, two of which are my bonus boys. Their dad and I were together, and we had my son together. So the three boys up, and then but the two older boys I kind of kept when we split up, and that's Colin, who works here. He's one of our lead technicians here. He's wonderful, and Daniel, who's autistic, and he still lives with me, and he plays Challenger Baseball. And then my baby is Joshua. He is 19. He's in the U.S. Navy.
Awesome. Thanks
And
for your service.
he's training to be a search and rescue air paramedic.
Sounds important.
So, he's always been wild. I knew he'd be jumping out of a helicopter someday.
Yeah. My second child's the same way. Whatever he does, I'm not going to be surprised. He's a wild child. I always say he's gonna be the best garbage man of all time.
Yeah, and Josh loves it. He went in right after high school. He's been in about 18 months. He went in 2 months after graduation in 2010. He's really found his niche. I'm really proud of him. I miss him like crazy. He's in San Diego right now, but it's really awesome to see your kids happy and fulfilling their dreams.
As a parent, that's really all you can ask for, right? Just doing something they love and being happy doing it. And he's getting to see the world, which is really cool, defending his country. So,
and my oldest just ventured into the entrepreneurial world. He still works here at Gannon, but him and his buddy just started a new food truck called Super Smash Brothers.
What is it called?
And Super Smash Brothers.
What type of food is it?
It's like burgers, fries. They do some soups when the weather's kind of chilly and crappy. Amazing food. And I'm not like a burgers and fries person, but I'd say this was probably the best burger I've ever had.
Super Smash Bros. Where can people find them?
I know they do a couple nights a week. They're at Harvey's Beer Garden.
Yep. Love that.
They're going to be at the big food truck competition at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
But they have a Facebook page, and it's Soup, like SOUP. They have a Facebook page, and each week they list where they're going to be. Like yesterday, they were at Upstate Circle. They're all over.
Do they do the Great Northern Mall thing on Wednesday nights?
No, I believe Wednesday nights. No, they have not been doing that one yet.
Got it.
Because they were supposed to be at Middle Ages last night, but that got canceled. But yeah, they've been really booked well. Colin's friend Jeff is a great cook, and that's who he partnered with. And so Jeff is the one that's really doing the day-to-day stuff. Colin helps out with special events, and but I'm really proud of them for 30 years old jumping in and taking that leap. It's a scary thing. And I kind of laughed because he said to me, we've been live for just over a month and it feels like years. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. I'm like, but he's got the bug, and I'm really, really proud that they chose to do that.
If you got the scratch, you got to itch it. I always say it's when I'm 90, I don't want to be wondering what if, and now I can't do it and don't have a choice. So
I just did a social media post about that. I was like, because I see so many people who say they're going to do things, and then they find reasons why they can't, and they talk themselves out of it. They water themselves down because they're afraid to fail. They don't think it's going to work, whatever it is. And I follow Mel Robbins a lot. Her podcast, I think she's amazing.
Yep.
And all of her stuff is really about self-motivation and putting yourself out there. And she's doing a two-week free thing, or 2 training session free thing, where it comes with a workbook to kind of help train yourself to make things happen. And I just did a social media post about it because I hope if one person picks it up and kind of jumps into those dreams, it's worth it.
I'll have to look that up. I'm definitely interested. Do you think entrepreneurship prepared you for being a parent in any way?
Oh, absolutely. As a parent, you have to be able to juggle things. You have to be able to When we're younger, I think we think we need to control everything. Like the outcome has to be exactly what's in front of us. And as an entrepreneur, you quickly learn that that's not always going to happen. So, and as a parent, it's definitely not always going to happen. We cannot, if we try to control our children, we can't turn them into who we think they need to be. We need to
Yep.
let them become whoever they are. And when our kids are young, I think we don't understand that necessarily. Yes, teach them manners, teach them self-respect, teach them all those things, but still that innate personality of who they're going to be, you're never going to change that. And we see that in all the case studies of kids who were raised in the exact same house, the exact same way, but they are two complete opposites in the choices they make in life. So when I deal with employees, I have to understand that not everybody's going to do it exactly the same way I would expect it to be done. But as long as they get to the end result, does it really matter the path they took in between?
Right.
And especially when the kids are little and you're thinking, oh my God, why are they doing it this way? And it's like you just want to like stop them and grab them and do it for them. But it's all a learning curve for them, but their brain may not learn or work the way that my brain does.
Mm-hmm.
Being a special needs parent has really helped me on that journey because Daniel, with his autism, his brain, I would love to crawl inside of it because the way that his brain, like the way he draws things and all of that, it's definitely polar opposite than what we're taught. And how cool is that he lives in this life that he can just do and create just how his brain works. And he doesn't care if you tell him it's wrong. He doesn't care if anybody looks at it funny. He's going to do it the way he wants it done. And I always say when people talk about like a cure for autism, it's a struggle because I would love to take his struggles away, like with the communication and the frustration, but I wouldn't want to take away that creative person that he is in that marching to his own beat without a care of how else anybody feels.
Those same things are what make him such an awesome person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think one thing like leading teams has really taught me about being a parent is not everyone's the same, and you can't really treat them the same way and expect the same outcome. Like you said, my kids are so different. My older son, he needs a little bit more TLC and love and reassurance. And my second kid's not. With that don't work for him. You know what I mean? He needs the dad voice to come out a little bit for him to okay. And even still then sometimes he's like, I'm not listening.
Exactly.
My oldest son would never, can you please do this? Yep, in a heartbeat, Dad. And they're just and that doesn't make one better than the other. They're just different human beings. And that's the way teams are. And I try to keep that in mind when I'm leading teams is everybody's different. And that means you have to treat them differently in a way.
Absolutely. Like I know on my team who I can create a training document for and just put it out in our team's channel and they're going to read it and they're going to understand it, and who I'll put that out there, but then I might have to like take a step back and say, hey, do you want to go over that? And kind of just, they're more that visual learner that they need to see it being done. And that's totally okay. Just because someone might need a little extra to get to that point of confidence on a new task doesn't make them any less. And it doesn't make it that any less that they want to learn it. They just need to learn it differently. And we just have to recognize that.
I would like to re-say, I don't mean treat them differently, but guide them and lead them differently.
I knew what you meant, but you're right. For this venue, you probably should.
Yeah.
Everybody should be treated the same.
Yes. We'll cut that part out.
No, but you're right. It's no two people are the same. And we need to recognize that. And the things we need to look for, so an example is we use seasonal technicians. And when I hire new seasonal technicians, the grading that I go by on how well their season was is completely different than the grading that I go by for a seasonal technician who's been with us for a few years. Because with the new people, I'm looking for willingness to learn, showing up, raising their hand when somebody says they need help, all of those types of things that make you a good team member. Yes, the training is done. We have regulations under the New York State DEC that we have to train everybody by, and we do that. We go above and beyond that. But I don't expect them to be experts in this field in that first season. If they're trying, if they're asking questions, if they're showing up, if they're showing an eagerness to work, all of that makes a great first season tech for me. Obviously as seasons go, then we expect to see more knowledge and comfort in the job. But I don't expect anybody to be experts by the end of their first season.
So you'd say that that first year is more about just learning and growth and getting your feet wet in the field.
Yes, and our training program is set so that it's baby steps. We start with it's like all exterior, the easier, the more. We're not throwing anybody in to, really complicated pest control jobs their first weekend. That comes a couple years in. We do some serious training, and we do it in a step program so that we understand that they're 100% comfortable with this one area before we move on to something a little bit more complicated. I don't feel it's fair to anybody because there's a lot in our industry. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of regulatory, there's a lot of label reading, things like that. And to try to throw somebody in and expect them to just jump right in and do everything is not fair to them or our customers.
Right. Right. What do you think your team would say is your biggest strength as a leader? Put you on the spot on this one.
I have the worst. I'm horrible at even complimenting myself. So I would say it's the team building, keeping us as feeling like a cohesive team and making everybody feel like they're a full part of the team, not leaving anybody. We don't have cliques. We don't have any. It's just everybody feels part of the team. Everybody feels important, and everybody feels that their contribution is fully appreciated.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest thing you've learned about yourself the last couple of years is since you've had that dark time? What do you think the biggest thing you learned was?
That it's okay to take a break. It's okay the biggest thing is to say it's when someone comes in. I used to think that every time someone walked in my office or called my phone or sent me a text, I had to get back to them immediately. It's okay to take a breath. If I'm in the middle of something and someone walks in my office and says, "Can you look at this?" It's totally okay for me to say, "Is it an emergency or can it wait till I'm done with it?" I always felt like I was letting people down if I didn't do that. And after a while, that will burn you out.
Yep.
I will 100% attest to that. But to take a break, to say, you know what, I need to turn my phone off. I need to just not have everything coming at me for a few minutes. And you know what, when you do that, the whole world is still standing when you come back to it. So yeah, listening to my body, listening to myself. I think I've become a much better leader over the last couple of years because I'm not as stressed out because I don't feel like I have to carry the weight of everybody on me.
Yeah. And people can definitely feel that for sure. And I think that's something most people struggle with. I have a hard time believing that most people don't have a problem with that. It's just taking a break for yourself. And it's one thing I've learned. My phone's always on Do Not Disturb now, except for my mom and my kid's mom. That's it. So the only time I get a notification is if I'm looking or if it's an emergency or something else. And that's really helped me. That's another thing I would recommend personally is just put your phone on Do Not Disturb and it won't go off, which is really nice for a while. But I always have it on. Maybe you don't need to go that crazy, but anything like that you've picked up, or is it kind of just being able to set those physical boundaries for yourself?
Just setting those boundaries and also understanding. So I part of my DNA is I like to do things. I like to take care of people. I like to fix things. And so when someone is telling me that something's going on in their life, I used to always just jump right in and want to help and get myself so involved. And there's two pieces of that. There's those people in your life that always have something wrong, something going on, and you always want to help, and they always tell you that all the reasons why it's not going to, or they continue to go back and make the same choices. And you get worked up and upset and all of that when it's not your issue. It's not. So I'm learning to not, unless I'm asked for help, I'm not jumping in. I'm like, somebody tells me, wants to vent or whatever, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Good luck. I don't, and I used to think that would mean that I wasn't empathetic. But you can still be empathetic without throwing yourself in and turning yourself into a pretzel over something that A, has nothing to do with you, and B, in some instances, the person who's having the issue, it's not turning them into a pretzel.
So you're more They are.
Hmm? Yes, absolutely more worked up than they are. So I just, like I said, now if someone asks me for help, I'm always willing to help. But if they don't, if they just are telling me about it, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Would you
And not
say,
asking a lot of leading questions so that they think you're that engaged.
do you spend a lot of time reflecting on, personal and business? And if so, kind of what role does that play in your development, do you think?
It plays a huge role in my development in that on the business side, after almost 30 years, I've made some mistakes. Um, made a lot, I've made some big mistakes, some that cost us some money, some that might have set us back a little bit. And it's all a learning curve. Again, I don't beat myself up over those mistakes, but I do remind myself of them because I think one of the most important things of understanding history of any type is so that you don't repeat it. So I'm constantly reevaluating how I handle things and how I would do it differently so that, and whether I handle something on the fly and then I'm not sure about it. So maybe I might reach out to somebody who I know is more of an expert in that field. I also belong to a group called the Women Presidents Organization, which is a wonderful group of local women entrepreneurs. You have to have a certain business size to be a part of this group. And we meet once a month behind closed doors, and whatever happens in that room stays in that room. So it gives you a great opportunity to reflect, or to, if it's an issue that you have some time to think about, to present to the group and get some feedback. And that's been a wonderful resource for me, both business wise and emotionally, just personally. Just sometimes there's things you just need to unload that you can't really say to anybody else because if you're not in it, you don't get it.
Right.
And so having that group of women who are business owners and parents and philanthropists and everything else and have their plates just as full as I do will understand that sometimes when I just need to unload and vent, it doesn't mean that I hate my life or that I hate anybody in my life or any of that. I just need to let it out and then I'm good. So that's really important. Having again, back to that tribe, having a tribe that gets it and being open enough to reflect on the things you did and see where you were the problem. Because I think a lot of times our ego gets in the way and where it's too easy to say it was Joe's problem or Bob's problem. It was all these other factors. But at the end of the day, you're the one that made the decision, so you have to own it. And if you can't own it, there's a good chance you're going to do it again.
There's a couple of other entrepreneurs that I follow that I've stolen the idea from, that if you're a leader, everything that happens is your fault. And it kind of sounds like you feel that way as well. So kind of just interested
100%.
to get your take on that as well.
100%. I think that it's your employees need to understand that you are willing, I guess, to fall on the sword for them. That brings trust. If we have a customer that calls and complains, we have some fail safes, like our phone calls are recorded, things like that. So I go and I listen to the recording. If our team didn't do anything wrong, I will tell that customer that. If they're just being problematic, because a customer can be just problematic.
Imagine that.
But I will tell them that, and if they don't, I've been known to say when somebody says, well, every year this happens. And I'm like, I've literally said to somebody, well, then why do you come back? Because I don't understand. If you're going to call and complain to me every year, why? Lots of us. A lot of people do great business in this town. Fortunately, we don't get a lot of complaints, but when I do, I listen to it. And if it was an issue, 90% of the time, if it's one of the girls on the phone, they'll come to me and they'll be like, she just pushed me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said what I said. And we have a discussion about it, but I know it's not the norm for them. So I'm not going to, there's not going to be if we lose a customer over it, everybody has a moment.
Right.
It's a different scenario if we lose 5 customers in a week because someone is snapping at them. But when it doesn't happen that often, and we have to have some understanding that everybody has a bad day once in a while. And you also have to be able to stand up for your employees when you know they're doing it right and you know they're doing their best. There's a time in this office that we are getting 250 phone calls a day, and it's stressful. And I don't have any kind of metrics that say you have to answer X amount of calls a day. I don't have any metrics that say that our calls have to be during that period, have to be answered within a certain time frame. We put some messages out on our voicemail and on our Zendesk returns and our social media that says we're getting an abundant amount of calls. it may take 2 or 3 days for us to get back to you. Because I don't want my staff puts enough stress on themselves trying to get back to all these people. I'm not going to add that to them. They are literally glued to their headsets from the time they walk in here at 8 o'clock in the morning till they leave at 5 p.m. But understanding that I'm not putting that pressure of a certain metrics, like you have to return 50 calls in a day. Because one call might take you 5 minutes, but another customer might take you 30 minutes or 45 minutes. I want you to make, my only rule is that every customer you handle is taken care of in full.
Yep. Every customer you're on the phone with gets your full attention, basically.
Exactly. And there's even a lag, like when they hang up their phone will not ring again for another like minute and a half. So that if they're finishing something up on the computer, they have that moment. Or if they know it's going to take longer, I'm a big fan of the do not disturb button on their phones. If they are in the middle of a complicated project, hit that do not disturb, finish it, then move on to the next thing, because everybody needs to have that breath. Everybody needs to have that bandwidth to get it done and not feel like they're getting knocked down with phone calls.
Yeah. The one thing I took from that, and I want to compliment you on this, is it sounds like you've really built a framework of trust where it feels like, or it sounds like your team feels comfortable coming to you and talking to you about those uncomfortable conversations, or hey, it was just one of those customers and I couldn't handle it. So I think that's unique in today's age, and I appreciate it.
It is. And it's, when we bring in somebody new, sometimes it takes them a while to understand that that's how we roll around here. That, and I say this all the time to, I had just had somebody say to me, well, I didn't really want to tell you really what happened because I didn't want you to be mad at me. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to be really mad at you if you come to me with from the truth. If you come to me and spin me some bullshit, some story, I don't know what I can say on this, so I don't want to say anything.
That's right.
If you come out with some bullshit story and then I find out the truth later, and it's just like parenting. It's going to be even worse because now I can't trust you. But if you come and you tell me what happened and you're truthful about it, we can find a solution together. If I have to backtrack and find out the real story, I don't know that I can ever find a solution that can move us forward long term, because I can't trust you and I need to be able to trust everybody that's on our team.
It's funny that you mentioned the parrot thing, because I was actually going to mention that I'm teaching my kids that same exact thing, that even if you did something wrong, if you tell me the truth, I promise you'll be in less trouble. And so I'm actively teaching them, when they admit it, okay, I did it. Well, look, here's what I would have done if you lied, but since you told the truth, you're still in trouble, but here's what we're going to do instead. I appreciate you telling the truth. And I think that, like you said, it just builds trust, and they know they can rely on you to tell the truth.
But it is. I don't want to diminish my team by saying it's like parenting, but all of those, but where it is where it's like parenting, and it's all those rules that we teach our kids are the same rules we should all live by every day. Tell the truth, be kind, be polite, all of those things, they should follow us to our grave. Just because we become adults, that doesn't change. And I think the world would be a significantly different place if everybody really believed that and lived by that every day.
Absolutely. And really, when you get new team members, looking from an empathetic point of view, you can't really blame them. You see how other people get treated and how leaders treat other people. Why wouldn't they feel any other way? It's like adopting a new puppy. You know what I mean? Like they're beaten and battered and been treated poorly, and you got to teach them, I'll love you back. I promise.
Right. We actually have an office dog. One of my employees adopted an adult dog, Howie, and he's here, and he's a Shar-Pei pug mix. They're called Orpays or something. He's the cutest little thing. But he was an Amish breeder dog, kept in a cage for 5 years. He's the sweetest thing, but he has no prey, no bark, no nothing, and he doesn't want to be touched. If you try to come down on him and touch him, he jumps back. So we don't touch him. We talk to him. When he's around my dog, or we have another office dog that's here regularly too. There's 3 of them sometimes running around here. When he's around the 2 other dogs, he's more playful and he's starting to come out of his shell. But it's taking some time. And Christy, who adopted him, she is now able to, when she's home with him, she's able to rub on him and love him and all of that. And he's starting to come with her, but still, here so now we call him Howie when he's at like my house with the other dogs, or at Christy's house, and he's Howard when he's here.
God, he's
very quiet. But it's the same thing. It's, I hear these stories of people that worked other places and they get screamed at every day. How can you expect anybody to thrive in that environment? How can you expect anybody to produce for you in that environment?
Right. Do you have so for your like office staff and your customer support, is it like a hybrid or are they in office 5 days a week?
We are moving back to in-office full-time, and mainly because two of my staff have the ability to work from home. They still have their COVID workstations at home. But during our really busy season, there's so much happening. The teamwork of all being in the same space together to, if someone has a question or just, Betsy spoke to this customer and now Christy's got him on the phone, and it flows better. And the team environment. I really was okay with everybody staying home when people started coming back to the office after COVID. And I was only requiring anybody to come in the office like if we were going to do a team meeting or if we had a team training, because we just changed our software last year. So then it was more in-office stuff because we were having a lot of training. And I'm 100% believe that, especially in training or in collaboration meetings, they work much better in person. I think the conversation is better and just the interaction. But there was a disconnect with the staff. They were not as close as they used to be. They were not as, it just wasn't as cohesive. We did team building stuff. We do paint nights. Last year, we did a personal chef experience at my house for the office staff by Chef Brian Isbell. And we do that stuff. But I noticed when we were doing that stuff, the conversation and the back and forth was not what it used to be because they weren't spending the time together anymore. And part of our core values is that connection and that comfort level amongst each other. So I think it's better in the office. That being said, if someone has a sick child or they're not feeling great or there's something going on that they would prefer to work from home a day here or there, that's okay too. But the majority of the time is in the office.
So for you just think that in-office synergy is just invaluable?
I do. I think that as a society, so many people are taking advantage of that solitude of working from home, and we're losing and continuing with the electronic communications and things like that, and we're losing a lot of that human connection that is so important. As humans, we crave it, whether our brain is telling us that COVID was the best thing ever because I got to sit in my house all by myself for 6 weeks or not. To thrive, we need that interaction. We need that human connection.
Want to change turns here. One thing I'm really curious about, I want your opinion on. I was really excited to have you on here specifically because as I've gotten a little older and more mature, I've realized how much representation matters. So I'm curious if, it's important to you as a woman to be in an entrepreneur position, just showing representation in other women and other young girls that they can do it too. Do you think about that at all, or is that not something that's really important to you?
No, I do think about it. I don't think about it as much as I used to. I'm in a very male-dominated industry, or traditionally a male-dominated industry. So 20 years ago, if I went to an industry seminar, I was like the only woman there.
Yeah.
And I would wear, and I'd always dress like I would wear my Gannon Pest Control golf shirt and my khakis and, sensible shoes and all that and try to blend in. Now I don't care. I'll show up in hot pink dress. I own it now. I don't feel I think it's important for other young women coming up to see that you can be a women entrepreneur and be 100% yourself. That you don't have to fit into somebody else's mold. You can do your own thing. And I believe that's one thing I've done here at Gannon is that as we grew, I took advantage of that growth to become a bigger part of the community with the things that I get involved in. That helps. It does help business. There's a piece of that you get to know a lot of people in town and you meet them at charity events, seminar, whatever. And so your name gets out there and all of a sudden it's like Gannon Pest Control is the place to call. But it's important for young girls to know that you can do it your way. You don't have to fit in to a mold. You don't have to follow somebody else's lead. If follow your gut and do it the way you believe. Don't kind of basically be true to yourself.
Do you think that would be your biggest piece of advice to any other women entrepreneurs is just be yourself and march to the beat of your own drum?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many beats we have to follow, regulatory, all of that stuff. Do that. But, you know, for a pest control company, even our logo is this like wild stinging bee with the, it's bright, it's red and yellow and use clouds it's colorful and it's catchy. You look around at most pest control logos and they're very subdued and, they're just, it's like, it's not, but I'm not very subdued. So, um, we go as a team and we built beds that sleep in heavenly peace. We walk at the autism walk. It's not just about the pest control when it comes to Gannon Pest Control. It's about our, I've made our whole image based on our integration into the community and more of an outward customer service, I guess.
You've definitely done a great job of getting in the community. I'll commend you there for sure. Gannon Pest Control is definitely a bastion of Syracuse. Any advice on, Syracuse business owners in Syracuse specifically? Do you think you would say be in the community, or do you think there's something?
Oh, absolutely. Embrace our community. When you get out there, you realize there are an amazing amount of people in Central New York that are doing outstanding work. And even go on some of these community groups on social media, they're just so negative. But there is so much positive in our community that you can find. It doesn't take much to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of spending your time on the negative, instead of spending your time, take some of your time and find that positive. Find something that drives your passion that you can do that isn't your business. Because I love the philanthropic piece of it. I love being an entrepreneur, but honestly, the more I succeed at Gannon, the more I can do elsewhere.
Right.
And that's pretty cool for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that people are willing to hear my voice from a Gannon standpoint, because then when I'm out there doing stuff for Hope for Heather or the American Heart Association or Challenger Baseball or whatever else I get myself wrapped up into, they'll listen to me there too. So that's just, but I truly believe if you're looking for the positive and you help to promote that positive, your growth is inevitable.
I told you I would take at max an hour of your time, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I feel like I still have so many more questions for you. I'm going to drag you back on here again, but
this was great. And I would definitely love to come back.
Awesome. Last thing, I always finish with everyone. What's the one thing you want everyone to take from you? This is the last time they're going to hear from you on this podcast.
I think it's just what I just said. Embrace the positive. Look for it. Find it. Find what gives you that fire in your belly and go for it.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. I will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Tyler.